everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you a quick little page that I made in my butterfly journal. Both Peg Robinson and I started butterfly journals on our live stream show as just something that we wanted to do, just a little journal with butterflies all the way through it. And I decided to, as warm-up, work on a page today. So I was looking through the book. These pages were all made with sprays on the day that we were playing with sprays. And as you can see, the two sides don't match. And because this is such a small journal, I'd rather have a two-sided spread than just one at a time. I mean, this thing, when it's closed, is probably only 5 inches by 4 inches or something like that. It's a small journal. And so I decided to make my two pages match each other by just covering up this orange one with some gel printed paper. And these pieces are gel printed with some graphic alphabet stencils from StencilGirl that I was playing around with the other day. I will list all the stencils that I've used here on this page if I can figure it out. Maybe some of the underlying stencils, not so much. I'm not really sure what's on that orange one. It's really cool looking though. Maybe it's a leaf. I don't know. Anyway, it's getting covered up. So I tore a couple pieces of this gel printed paper, and I want to keep the butterfly image on the right hand side, which is in the print already. And I know that I have that stencil, so I will look it up. It was when we were doing the sprays. I must have used that butterfly stencil, and I actually have a butterfly image there, so that's nice. So I'm just taking some Liquitex matte gel medium and I'm gluing these pieces down. They've got the blues, the teals, the greens in them. They're both really interesting prints. And I printed them for a different project. These are my leftovers. Also, I have to think about my page being able to turn. And this particular journal was bound by some threads, linen waxed thread through some holes, and so I just want to be able to move the threads. So I'm kind of tearing the paper and then tucking it back behind the threads and just making sure it's all stuck down. And there are a few places where there's still some of that orange showing, but I'll fix that. Then I also wanted to add a little bit of that same paper on the other side so that everything's coordinated. And there's another little butterfly down there that's kind of, the wings are poking through, and I didn't want that one to show. So I just slapped on a couple more pieces of this torn background paper that I made, and then I'm just going to trim off the edges and get started with my next step, which is to use some stenciling with some acrylic paint and also maybe, cover up some of that orange with the acrylic paint. So I got out some, excuse me, Dina Wakely paints. The dark one is called Night, and then I think the other one is, I'm not sure what that color is, but I'll make sure I'll make sure to link it below. Turquoise. It's not a turquoise or a teal. I don't remember what it's called right now, but I'm first just putting a little bit of that night color, which is a very dark blue, onto my palette and taking a small brush and wetting it a little bit and then just going around the outside edge of that stencil print that's on there so that it stands out a little bit more from the background. I want it a very obvious, and of course, being just a print, it has a lot of the blue on it. It's just kind of one note, one color, and I want it to show up. I've also covered a little bit of the top of it, the little antenna at the top with that piece of paper, just to bring in that same print from the other side. So I'll have to fix that later. I also know that I want to use some stenciling on here. I've really been interested lately in this graphic look of words and letters, whether it's stencils, whether it's collage, like the collage I made recently. I had those different letters from the magazine torn out and used I actually think I have at the end of the month a StencilGirl project that's all about using letters and numbers, stencils. It gives a really interesting graphic background. It interests me. You don't have to read it. I don't even want to try to read it. I just like the look of letters. It's interesting. So I get out a small stencil brush. This has stiff bristles on it. It's kind of like a toothbrush. It just has a very small round head. And it's good for stenciling through something really thin like this particular stencil. I think this is a portion of a stencil that's been cut apart, and it's probably from StencilClub. I will, link it in the description box below. I don't even know what it says, actually. It's got words, but I can't really read them. It's all overlapping. And so I haven't taken the time to really sit down and try to decipher it because I don't care. I just like the way it looks. I like the way the letters look. They make linear shapes and it's just interesting. So I'm also using that brush and just kind of blending out a little bit too, or um, I don't know. It makes kind of a scratchy paint look when I use it as more like a paintbrush. I'm still using both the dark blue and the dark teal color of the heavy body paint from Dina Wakely, and I'm stenciling the other side as well because I need it to match up. I want the value and tone to be the same as much as possible. So actually, when I turned over the stencil to clean, some of the paper had stuck to the back of the stencil because it wasn't quite dry from the matte medium treatment on this side. And so I turned it over and pressed it down on my paper that I'm using to save the other pages in the book, and it made an interesting print. So I'll save that as well because that's how it kind of works. It's interesting how the paint transferred onto the paper. So then once that's all dry, and I did take the brush and touch up areas where the orange was still showing through on that page, then I'm going to use even some more script writing from this napkin that someone sent me for my butterfly journal. I think layering one pattern on top of another pattern on top of another pattern is interesting. Like there was letters in the background of this piece, and then I put some more letters on top with the stencil, and now I'm going to put some more script looking letters on top again with the napkin collage. So I'm going to use a fluid matte medium to apply that and a brush. And I put a bit too much medium on there, and I did lose some of the napkin as I was brushing. You can see it just kind of brushes away, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not trying to make it perfect. I just want some more of that pattern, interesting pattern in the background. So this is a black and white napkin, but when it's put onto the page, the napkin becomes very translucent, and you can just see some of the pattern from the other layers in the background, and it just makes it more interesting, I think. I like to layer things on top of things on top of things. There's a little bit left, some type of a, I'm not even really sure what that's supposed to be, maybe a postmark or something. I put it on the other side, and everything's looking the same now. It looks like a cohesive page as opposed to this orange thing and this blue thing that it was when I started. All this was a pretty fast process. I didn't really fuss too much over it. It was kind of a warm up for something else I was going to do. I just needed to get in there and do something. I'm still struggling to do anything. My family is still in quarantine because I don't think it's safe to go out yet, considering that we have someone who has stage 4 cancer and someone who's 80 and someone who's 90 in the house. I just still don't think it's safe for us to go out, even though my state, the state of Arizona, is opening up restaurants and bars and places to get your hair cut. So I'm still stuck inside with the exception of going to the pharmacy and the grocery store. And I should be making art. I should be making tons of art. I should be using this time to just art my face off. But instead, I'm just stuck in irritable and I just don't want to do anything. So this little type of journal like this is a good way to warm up and try to get myself into doing something else, because I do have some responsibilities that I need to fulfill to other people and companies, and I need to get some things done. Plus, I feel responsible to all my audience out there who's looking for my videos and wants to watch me. I need to do something. I need to do it. I just need to do it. It's hard. And I know I'm not the only one who's having this situation. A lot of my other art friends are in the same situation. Art is something that's so dependent upon how you feel emotionally. And so this whole situation that's going on here in 2020 is a little bit tricky for those of us who do art. It's just, well, not everyone. Some people are not having a problem with it at all. It's maybe just half the people. So I realized that part of the wing needed from the butterfly needed to come on to the other side because it was like it was cut off. We didn't want to have a poor little butterfly who had a broken wing. So I drew it on with some white pen, which I'm using a white Posca pen to kind of pop some of the details out. And so I drew the wing and then I filled it in with a light blue paint and added that color in a couple other places on the butterfly so that it didn't look weird. And then I wanted a fatter acrylic paint pen to draw some sort of a plant on this side because it didn't have anything on it. And I just kind of think butterflies and nature go together. So I used one of the Arteza acrylic paint markers that I have to draw because my white Posca pen is very fine tipped, which is what I prefer. So I needed a fatter one. Then I took some more of this paper. This is actually the edges of the paper, and cut out some leaf shapes to go on my plant. It's kind of just a turquoisey green color. There's a couple different colors in it, but still matches the whole cool colors that I'm using here. And instead of getting the matte medium back out, I'm just going to use my Yoo-Hoo glue stick to stick these down. And so I'm kind of taking the leaf and running it across, like kind of sticking it to my finger and running it across the top of the glue stick and then sticking them down. It works pretty well. I still have a few that are sticking up somewhat, but this is an art journal page, so I'm not too concerned. I don't think it's gonna, fall apart. All the leaves aren't going to jump off the plant when it turns fall. I think they'll still be in the book. So the Yoo-Hoo glue stick, it starts out blue, but it turns clear when it's dry. It's just so that you can see where you've applied the glue. So that works out, even though I can't really see over this blue page, the blue glue, but it doesn't matter because I'm putting it on the backs of the leaves anyway. I cut some more out from another piece and just continued. I didn't have enough the first time, so continued to stick them on the plant. Whatever kind of plant it is, night blooming jasmine maybe. This is definitely a night time butterfly or moth. There can be a moth in my butterfly journal. It's okay. They're close enough. Close enough. So then I needed to have something that coordinated on the other side. So I cut out a few more leaves from a different piece of paper and stuck a few on that side in the corner too, to make it cohesive. And, if you have something on one side, you got to have it on the other side, whether it's a color, whether it's a pattern, you need it on both sides. So then I get out the white Posca pen again and my other white pen, which I drew a little bit of a stem for those. Wasn't quite dry, kind of gummed up my white Posca pen because I'm impatient. I'm sure I'm not the only one who has this problem. But I was able to clean it out. And I'm just drawing around the leaves and making some more doodle pattern on here. Instead of having black lines around everything like I normally do, this time I have white lines around everything, which is a interesting and cool look. Different, but still lines, still got to have lines. And that's, of course, inspired by the butterfly that was on there was already having white lines. So then having white lines around everything else on the page seemed to make sense to me. Also some little curly things in the center just to make it more interesting. I hope you guys are enjoying this quick little page, and if you are, please remember to give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment or question below. We can talk about the color scheme, we can talk about the stencils, we can talk about the products. I'm about to use a new product after I get all this done that I just got and have never had before, so you guys might be interested in it. It's from a company called, I wrote it down, Earth Safe Finishes. And it's this artist person who was concerned about the environment, concerned about artists and also children being exposed to VOCs in paints and finishes. And so she started a company and is manufacturing products that are not completely non-toxic. I mean, these are not things you want to eat, but they are VOC free. So the volatile compounds are not in the paints and finishes, and they have pigments and different types of molding pastes and different types of stuff like that, and acrylic base that you can mix things into. I will, of course, link them below. And I received this product that I'm going to show you in a minute. Right now I'm using a oh my gosh, a Pit Artist pen to do a little bit of shading. Very dark blue color. What color is that? Indanthrene blue. So I'm almost going to get out the other product. The product is designed by Ann Butler. It's called Ann Butler Iridescence from earthsafefinishes.com. And this one is kind of like a pearlescent medium. It's translucent, but it's gold. And I was thinking about the moth or butterfly being outside at night and having some moon glow on it. Like, butterflies and moths have little teeny tiny scales on their wings. You can't see it when you're looking at it, but if you see it up close, it's like these little shiny, shimmery scales. And I thought that maybe I could use this product to kind of mimic that look. And it really does. When you see the close-ups at the end, which are coming up very soon, you'll see that it almost looks like shiny scales. But it's translucent, so the colors are still shining through, but it's getting kind of a gold glimmer on the top. And then that inspired me to do the word, which is moon glow, and I typed that on my Brother P-Touch label maker, trimmed it out, and put it on the page as well, and then I put some of that iridescent paint over the top of it. So this has a lot of shimmer and shine to it. Not the easiest thing to see on video and photos, but I did my best to make it show up. So that's it for me for this page. Just adding some shadow with that same dark blue Pitt pen. And I'm going to add some more of that gold paint over the top. And that will be it for this page. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.